Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining me on the planet. My name is June Allen. I'm a racial trauma therapist and I am the founder of the Art of Greatness at juneallen.net. Oh my gosh, family. It has been an amazing week for me so far. Hi, thanks for joining. It's been an amazing week. And I just wanted to hop on. I've got a client in 25 minutes, but I just wanted to hop on and just share some. I've just literally come back from the live event where Resmaaa, Menakem and Reid that were live in conversation in central London. And it just blew my mind. It just totally blew my mind. So yeah, I just wanted to hop on and just talk about, just share the insights and just share the key bits that I'm coming away with. And it just first and foremost, it actually just showed me the power of community, the power of gathering, and having somebody like Resmaaa who's so down to earth and knows his shit. It's no BS. He just comes in, says it how it is, and empowers the community to get stuff done. So it was a really emotional time as well. Actually, I felt really emotional. At one point, he started talking about, he got all the black and brown people to close their eyes, and then he paused, and then he started talking to us, almost like it felt like he was talking to us at soul level, and he started repeating over and over again that you are not defective. You are not defective. You are not defective. And I felt really emotional because living inside systems of oppression means that we internalize that. And that's what a lot of us think about ourselves. That's what a lot of us think about ourselves, consciously and unconsciously. And so to hear another black person, somebody like him, to say that, it was very emotional. It was very emotional, and it just made you think just how much stuff we internalized. And he talked about how difficult it is living in a black body under this system and stuff like that, and how community, the individual stuff is okay, is great. He said if you're struggling, get a therapy. He said if you're not struggling, get a therapy. Which is good. But he also talked about the importance of being in community and doing this work in community, not just the talking therapies, but doing the body work as well, doing the body stuff as well in community. Because one of the things that he talked about was the fact that the reason why maybe some of us struggle in community is because we're only doing the individual work. Okay, the reason why so many of us struggle in community is because we're only doing the individual work. And he said that living under systems of oppression does not just happen individually. It happened to us as a people. Yeah, the stuff that happened to us as a people. So we need to do the work as a people. We need to do the work as a people. The thing that I find really powerful in the work that I do of working with clients is, I work with a lot of clients that have been traumatized by their own families, not just the system. Because our families internalized a lot of the dysfunction from the systems, it ends up being acted out in families. And so people sometimes, my experience is that a lot of people find it difficult to do the work in community because they're so traumatized by what happened to them in their families. So what I tend to do is to create, if I'm doing group work, I tend to work with clients to help to build that sense of safety and trust. I have boundaries in place doing the group work, but also sometimes it's better for people to start working in doing the individual work. Because then when they start to build the trust with me individually, sometimes then they can go over and start doing the group work. Once they've built enough trust with me individually, then they can move over and start doing the group work. And I've had a few clients do that. They have a few sessions with me one-to-one, and then they go, oh, maybe this will be all right. Because they trust that, I've been able to hold space for them individually, so then they start to build trust about me being able to hold the space for them collectively. We'll give them tools and stuff about how they can begin to work with them. And this is one of the things that I do when I do my workshops and retreats and stuff as well, is, there's always a set of boundaries, and there's always a set of guidelines that I give at the beginning of the session, so that people are aware of what's expected. And and I always say that stuff out loud as well, that people might be feeling anxious about coming into a group. A lot of people feel anxious about coming into the group for the simple fact of what I was said, because a lot of us were traumatized by family members, by parents and stuff like that. So that stuff is really, really important to be able to say that stuff out loud. But I also agree with Resmaaa in the sense that it has to be both. At some point, there does need to be community work as well as individual work, and it was just so. There were so many different people that were there at this event. There was therapists, there was, I spoke to quite a few different people. I saw a few familiar faces as well, which is nice. I saw quite a few people from Baton and stuff like that. I also bumped into quite a few people that follow me on social media that I didn't know personally. And they came up to me and said, "Oh, are you June? Are you on a greatness?" And that was really nice. So hi, everyone that's following me, that saw me this morning. It's always really nice meeting people and stuff like that, because it kind of puts a face to it. I see the numbers, I see people, doing the views. I see the views of people watching my live streams and stuff like that, but obviously I don't always know, unless people comment and stuff like that. I don't always know the people that watch my work. So it's always really nice going to live events, and I've been going to more live events this year because I just want to be, meeting people in person and stuff is one of my goals, is to do more stuff like that so I can start to connect with people a lot more. So that was really nice, just to meet people. But yeah, just the to be in a space like that, and to feel the solidarity, and to feel the sense of community, and that energy is just like, it's so powerful being in that energy. It's so powerful being in that energy, being around other people that are on the same page, that are really committed to doing this work, and that are there not just to hear, Resmaaa and his genius, his genius ways of working and stuff like that, but also for us to connect as a community. I love Resmaa's humility as well. I've always loved his humility. I love the fact that he just tells it like it is. He's very real, he swears and stuff like that, and I just love that about him. He's very down to earth, there's no airs and graces. He doesn't sort of promote himself as any sort of big guru or anything like that. He just comes, he's very humble. He comes on, he talks, he speaks his truth, he empowers people, and he's like, it's time to get shit done type of energy. This is what we need to be doing as a community. And it's just so, the energy and I was buzzing when I came out of there, and I actually got to meet him as well, which is really lovely. I'll post the pictures to my timeline and to my stories. But yeah, I went and got my book signed. I've got all of his books now. I've already got my grandmother's hands already. I bought one of the first ones I bought, but I've bought some of the other ones as well. So he signed it, and then I said to him, "Oh, I'm in your 9-month program." He's like, "Oh, you have to give you a hug if you're in my program and stuff." So we had a hug and stuff, which was good. And I gave you my business card as well and stuff, because he started following me on social media a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh my God, Resmaa's following me on social media!" So I gave him my card and stuff, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember." So he put in his. It was just really nice. It was just really nice to meet him, and also Nova. I'd not met Nova Reid before, and yeah, she's doing some fantastic anti-racist work as well. I bought her book as well. It's called The Good Ally. Yeah, which is really good. So Michelle said, hi Michelle. So Michelle said, I'm pleased you saw him. I'm reading Monsters. Oh my God, I'm reading Monsters in Love at the moment as well. Oh my God. That book, Michelle, oh my God, it is such a game changer. And I saw your email actually about the relationship stuff. And actually that was the recommendation that I was going to say to you actually about reading about relationships and stuff. So it's great that you're reading that. Yeah, I just love Resmaa's work, so anybody that's not reading Resmaa Menakem's work, go out and buy all of his books. Honestly, he's done. I already had my grandmother's hands already, but I also bought this one today, The Quaking of America. I didn't have that one. And this is the one that I'm reading that Michelle was just talking about, Monsters in Love. Okay, so yeah, I just think that he's ahead of his time, and he doesn't play, and he's very passionate about doing what he does. So yeah, it was just an amazing experience. All right, so let me just see some of the other takeaways and stuff. Let me just see. Oh yeah, he talked about just looking at my notes, he talked about people like Bell Hooks and Toni Morrison and stuff like that. These are people that their work is like for the future. And the way that he explained that is because a lot of people, would read their work. Some people wouldn't understand it or quite get it. And he explained that those ancestors, their work is very progressive and ahead of their time and all the rest of it. And it's almost like, when we do our work, just like how people like Toni Morrison and Bell Hooks, their work is kind of like for our future selves, for the next generation. He talked about us also doing our work, not just for how we're showing up in the present, but also thinking about, what's going to be going on ahead of time, what's happening for the next generation. Because that, and also the fact that it's all being documented and stuff like that in books and whatever, is so important. It's so important. Yesterday, I went to watch the film Barrel Children. Oh my God, I'm going to do a separate live stream on that, because it was just so powerful. It was so powerful. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about that too much today. I'll talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, but just thinking about the importance of documenting our stories and making sure that our stories are written for us, by us, and that we have that legacy to kind of hand down. We've got that baton to be able to hand down to the next generation, because that's what it's about. We have to write down and document our own experiences and create our own ways of being, create our own ways of doing things, including therapy, so that it works for us. So there is that cultural context. So there is that ancestral energy that comes through all of the stuff that we do, so that it works for us as a community. White Western ways of thinking around therapy is not necessarily going to work for us as Black people. The context of it is not going to work for us as Black people. We have to adapt. And this is what I've done, actually. This is very much what I've done. I've taken what I've learned from, I've taken what I've learned from studying the kind of typical modalities in the therapy training and all the rest of it. And I've brought in all the other pieces. And like I said, by reading Resmaa's work, by, I'm still in this 9-month process. I'm about halfway through. I'm doing this 9-month process with Resmaa. And, it's a game changer. It's a game changer when it comes to doing this work, because you're bringing in different pieces and thinking about the body. We might understand stuff intellectually, but if we don't understand what's happening in the body after 400-500 years of brutality, and continuing to be brutalized by the system, if we don't understand what's happening in our body around this stuff, we're missing so much stuff. We're missing so much stuff around our healing process that it's not going to get healed just by talking about it. We have to understand what's going on in the body, because our bodies have been brutalized so much. Our bodies have been brutalized so much, so we have to bring that piece in where we're concerned. That's why so many of us are so numb. And this is, no disrespect to people that, want to understand history and all the rest of it, but there's a danger in that as well, that we can get stuck in our heads. We think that know thyself is just about, what we think about intellectually. And Rashmi did talk about it. It's not just about the cognitive stuff. It's about what is actually happening in the body. How is the body responding? How is our nervous system responding, to what's happening to us? So Michelle's also saying, I saw that too. Barrel Children, really moving and powerful. The trails for some is present. Yeah. There is so much stuff in Barrel Children that is so resonant to what's happening today. And again, There's a lot of trauma that that our ancestors have experienced, and all of these little things that are happening. These are secrets that the government, the British government, in particular, they don't want us to understand all this stuff that happened to us. They don't want to understand. They don't want to talk about. They don't want us to talk about all of these things. That's why we have to do this work. We have to do this work ourselves. We have to be willing to be vulnerable and have these conversations in community, in safe community. We have to be discerning about the types of communities that we go into. We have to find the communities that are trauma informed. We have to find the communities that care. And we have to be willing to invest. We have to be willing to invest time. We have to be willing to invest money. We have to be willing to invest energy. And we have to do these things even if we only see a certain level of shift in our lifetime. I've come to the decision, I've made the decision in myself, or accepted, that a lot of this stuff that I'm doing might not be resolved in my lifetime. I've made peace with myself around that. That the stuff that I'm trying to do, the generations of stuff, of patterns that I'm trying to break, I might not be able to do it in my lifetime, because I can only do so much. I can only do so much, and there's 400 years behind me that need to be done. And oh my God, one of the things that they were talking about today as well, they were talking about, Resmaa's talking about there being 14 generations of trauma in our community. Can you just get your head around that? 14 generations of trauma. Just sit with that for a minute. 14 generations of trauma. That is not going to disappear overnight. That is not going to get healed overnight. That is going to take time. That is going to take patience. That is going to take investment. That's going to take money to do all of that. So we have, yes, Michelle, 14 generations he was talking about. If you want to watch it, actually, I'm sure I think they streamed it on YouTube. I don't know which which platform they streamed it on, but go on YouTube, you'll be able to watch 14. I was shocked. I was gobsmacked when he said that. 14 generations of our families that have been in bondage through chattel slavery. That's what we're dealing with. And that's the reason why, and I say this to my clients and you know, people in recovery and stuff all the time, that the reason why I believe that is so painful for us in this generation to be doing this work is because all of that stuff is kind of backed up. And it's like, because we're starting to do this work now, the pressure cooker is lid has come off. There's been an explosion of pain that's come out of the work that we're doing. The grief has been overwhelming because we're the first generation of children that are starting to really do this work with some depth. So if you're finding doing your work difficult, number one, just know that you're not on your own. And number two, understand that the reason why it feels so exhausting and so overwhelming and the weight of it just feels so heavy is because you got 14 generations of stuff. You got you got 400 years, and you got to think about the weight, the trauma, 14 generations of trauma. 400 years and 14 generations of trauma that is sitting in your system and in your thinking and in your lap around this stuff. So it ain't gonna get fixed overnight. It's not gonna get fixed overnight. Yes, Seema. That's why we're exhausted. That's why sometimes I think to myself, like, sometimes I have to remind myself of that. That was, just to hear him say that was so affirming. Because sometimes I think I feel so exhausted. Sometimes I have to ask myself, like, am I doing something wrong? Am I missing something? Why am I so tired? Why am I so tired? That is the reason why you're tired. That is the reason why we're tired. because collectively we're carrying all of this stuff. We're holding all of this stuff. And again, we're the first generation who's really starting to unpack it. So the other thing is, when the body starts to feel safe, when the body finds a safe place to start to unpack this stuff, our body starts to show up and we start to feel things. Because in order for us to hold all of this stuff, we've had to be numb. In order for us to hold all of that stuff, all of that generations of trauma, we've had to numb ourselves in order to survive. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. Don't feel it. Silence this one, silence that one. But all of that trauma is still there. All of that trauma is still there. But to be able to name it, for Resmaaa to name it, it's just like, oh, now I understand. And Nova was also talking about, and I wrote down a quote, she said, I learned unworthiness before she was able to achieve worthiness. Let me say that again. She learned unworthiness before she was able to actually achieve worthiness. We're born into unworthiness. Again, we're talking about those 14 generations. We were born into unworthy. We were born into it. We were born into the trauma. And I'm just going to leave you with this, because I've got a client at 2 o'clock, so I'm going to have to go. But this is the last thing that Resmaaa said that just totally blew me away. And he said that we have to start thinking of blackness as principle. Okay? We have to start thinking of blackness as principle. And what he meant by that is, he talked about blackness as a principle, meaning the first black woman on the planet, the first woman on the planet, the first person on the planet was a black woman. Okay? So you're talking about a black woman being the principle of change. Okay? Think about blackness from within the womb. From within the womb comes life. From within the black womb comes life. Underneath the black dirt, you plant seeds, and underneath the black dirt, what do we get? We get life. Okay? We get life. So we have to think about blackness as the principle of how things are going to change. Using blackness as a principle for everything that is going to empower us. It started at the beginning of time, and it's also going to be how it is in terms of the end, in terms of us changing things and ending racism, ending these systems of oppression. It's going to come from that principle, the blackness principle. And he even said it himself. He said so many black women supported him when he was going through a difficult time. And I said this on the live stream the other day. As much as it pisses me off, black women are going to be instrumental in a lot of this stuff. And they were talking about the whole idea that, you know, that's why so many black women are part of this movement, myself included. So many black women are part of this movement because we represent life. We represent life. We understand the importance of change. We understand the importance of doing this work. So think about those things. Think about those things. You know, gosh, there's so many other things I wanted to share, but I'm going to have to leave it for today because I've got another client at 2 o'clock. But, you know, have a look on YouTube. Have a look on YouTube because they did stream it, so I'm sure it's going to be there somewhere. But honestly, watch it. It is so powerful. It is so powerful. So think about those things. Think about all of those things, and think about, you know, the work that you're doing and how that kind of represents how that, you know, how is the work that you're doing in alignment with not just what you're doing in the present, but how it's going to seed and nurture future generations. Because that's what this work is really about. Liberation work is legacy work. I'm going to leave you with that. Liberation work is legacy work. Okay? If you haven't got a ticket yet for my workshop this Saturday called The Art of Receiving. Click the link in my bio. Okay. Oh, great. Nubian 10. She's found it. Right. So go to YouTube then and look for it because it's on there. Click the link in my bio. Go to heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. That's heal.juneallen.net. You can find all the information there about the workshop. It's on Saturday, 10 a.m. Brixton. Join me if you want to learn more about the art of receiving. All right. Take care, everyone, and I will see you soon. All right. Take care. Bye.